Happy Wednesday. You are on the Heart of Success show, and I'm your host, Larissa Vakulina. I go live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. South Australian time zone. And here on this show, I'm redefining what it means to be successful. So I'm also inviting a different guests onto my show, and we sharing tips, methods, tools, motivation, and inspiration, how you can create success in all areas of your life. Today, I have a very special guest with me here. Laura Patricia Martin. I'm going to introduce her. You're going to be blown away. Today, your life going to be changing because Laura is an amazing specialist. She's a trauma-informed relationship specialist and founder of Healing to Happy. This global movement is taking the world by storm as it liberates the modern woman to step into her relaxed feminine energy and allows the man to step into his leadership without the triggers of the past traumas. So there's a lot of in Laura's profile, and it is not possible to describe the woman accurately in a short biography. So I would like to dive in to speak to Laura and find out more about what she's doing, what her methods, and how she is actually helping thousands of women to become powerful and stepping into their feminine energy that can help them to live the life that they love. Laura, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be on my show. And I'm so excited to start to really dig out your story and how did you become a specialist in such an sensitive area. I know relationships are such a rich area of the human experience, and this is the most challenging as well. So I would like to really give a floor to you so that you can start to really explain to us how did you become a trauma-related relationship specialist. And welcome.
Oh my goodness, I love your energy, Larissa. It's so I love it. So I always talk about how I'm an accidental entrepreneur. It was never the plan. I was on a fast track to probably not. I have notes in my phone that said I didn't think I'd make it past the age of 25. I was just drugs, domestic violence, a lot of abuse of a lot of things, and taking it out on my body with intense eating disorders and chronic illness and just all this stuff that was going on. And I unexpectedly lost my mom at the age of 22 to addiction. And I ran away to Asia in hopes of finding myself. And really, it's not how trauma works. Is I ended up just but definitely repeating generational trauma. I found myself into domestic violence, using drugs of my own, just getting lost in this path because I didn't know how to heal. Trauma wasn't how it is now at that time. It was just this thing that I didn't even identify with. And I ended up finding my way at 24 years old where I realized it wasn't that I was sitting in the floor and just contemplating taking my life, and realized it wasn't that I didn't want to live. I just didn't want to live this way anymore. And so I found my way into nutrition and started health coaching and doing all this kind of stuff. But all I ended up doing was creating a trauma bond with my business and forgetting how to live and being so afraid of my life and not having any type of relationships because I was so afraid that someone would do that to me again. And I couldn't trust myself in relationships. And this whole thing happened. And then I ended up getting very sick at the age of 26 because that's what trauma does. If you don't address it, your body's eventually going to get exhausted. And so I had to surrender. I had to do the somatics. I had to lean into the work that I now love and teach and preach. And, I studied, I got all the certifications because I'm a very left brain person. But moving beyond that, it was about the embodiment of it. It was about slowing down. It was about trusting my body when she needed rest. It was about healing my relationship to myself so that I could have a relationship with others. And nowadays that's what we're missing is there's no shortage of people out there who are craving deep intimacy. And that starts with yourself.
I know. See, this is, guys, I want to stop on here because you said something really, really important. we always kind of want to be busy. We like to have expanded state. We would like to be with people, and really we missing out on our personal time. And people only start to learn how to create their own spaces, how to create their own time. And really this is something that that we need to start to really explore. And without our own personal time and space and boundaries, we really never would be able to dive into that essence of who we are, right? And you said very important things, because for women, we almost like we just want to be around people to have the reassurance that we are loved, we are attracted, we,
Mhm.
all of these things. And your story is really mind-blowing. Like you're very young and you went through all of this, and you kind of get the gist of it, how you can approach your own
Mm.
stuff, right? Own your stuff, as I said. So keep going. This is
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, and that's kind of where it started, is just this whole, who am I really, outside of my work and my hobbies. And I realized my only hobby was self-development and trying to fix myself, quote unquote. And, I realized I hadn't listened to a song in so long because I was so caught up in podcasts, and like there was no play or joy, and just
yeah.
really shook me alive to come back. And the whole reason I had started this whole thing, right, was like I realized how quick life can go because of the loss of my mother. And then I just ended up not living my life because I was so afraid of it. And so this whole journey has been about rediscovering what that means and having great intimacy within your relationships, starting with yourself and, your communities, and being seen and being vulnerable and being feminine, and just opening up these deep connections without being afraid of how that's going to be. Because especially as women, we're trying to belong. That's our primal need, is to belong. Because if we didn't back in the day, we would die, like that's cave
Yeah.
woman times. And so it's normal to feel these ways, but at what cost? Are we self-abandoning? Are we people pleasing? And we see this a lot, and I'm sure you see this with your clients and in your field, where it's like, we're so high achieving and we're so high strung, and we have to be perfect, and we have to be all these kind of ways that we don't even know how to be ourselves anymore. And so it's cracked that all open to really create this movement of women that are looking to change the way that we do things, to change the generational trauma. Instead of perfectionism, having it all together, it's like the human of life, and how to love and have like deep passion for things, and to play, and to still have the success that's on your heart, because you get to have all these facets of you, because women are multifaceted, delicious creatures. Like it's so fun to be a woman, and
Absolutely.
stepping into that and really claiming it has been, the journey.
Yeah. That's really amazing that you went. I mean, I believe that the best teachers are the ones that walk the walk. Like we walk that path. We know how it feels to be lonely. We know how it feels to be in pain. We know how to feels to really feel not enough, and all of these things. And we found our own way. I'm a believer that, of course, there's a lot of experts around, and there's a lot of specialists and a lot of professionals and all of this. And we, of course, learning from people who actually worked before us, but we absorb that information and experience through our own system, and then we grow and we wait until we get our own method, our own way, our own path. And that's where the beauty of it is, because this is authentic what you're doing, authentic of what how you come up with the method that helped you. And that's really so can you explain a little bit more about Healing to Happy movement and community, and what it does, and how it functions, and how we can
Yeah.
maybe join you and be a part
Yeah.
of it.
So the biggest thing that we do is, it's the soft place to land on the internet, because a lot of us are trying to fix things and learn things and strategies and da 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 and all this kind of stuff. And what I found in my masterminds is a lot of us come in and it's like, oh, but I want to talk about my relationship. I want to talk about my relationship with my body. I want to talk about my health, but it's not business related. So let me put that on the back burner because that's not as important. And so we created this soft corner of the internet, whether it's through our programs, group programs, masterminds, mentorship, Telegram groups, like it's all this stuff that is tailored to the quote unquote busy woman that is looking to soften her heart and become more vulnerable and open herself up and create some of the, the love that we want to see in this world. And so it's through various things. It depends what people are looking to focus on. It starts with beginning stage, just wanting to learn, where we have stuff on boundaries, we have stuff on codependency, we have stuff on regulation and somatics and these kind of things. Then we move into masterminds, and then you can walk yourself through those processes, depending what kind of level of support that you want. But the whole mission has been a bunch of women that are looking to shift the generational trauma, that they don't want to be tough anymore. They don't want to carry the world on their shoulders. Like, that's not cute anymore. Like, we all of a sudden have become these like hairless men trying to march around and pretend that we're taking over the world. And it's like, you can take over the world, but you still get to be soft and vulnerable and love.
Yeah, this is really resonates with me, because it's like we constantly in a battlefield of being equal to men. Well, how long this concept gonna be existing? We don't want to be equal. We are having our own strengths and power in our own feminine way. I know how many women can fly the planes, can go to the space. They can do all the things that men can do, but we actually created to do things that men cannot do, right? And we need to start to really look at that equality concept as a possibly artificially created concept. And basically it is taking us into wrong direction of damaging ourselves. It harms us, and it harms men as well, because they are in the same dynamics, and this is traumatizing, right? Can you dive a little bit more about the relationship?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. You just spoke about two people that are in their masculine, that are trying to achieve goals. How do you think a relationship is going to go? Right? If both of you are saying, and that's not to say you aren't allowed to go with your goals, but oftentimes we're treating our relationships as if it's a business, and we're talking to our men as if they're employees or our children. And we're coming at these things where it's like, oh, but I do want to be ravished. I do want to have intimacy. I do want to have passion. I do want to play. I want to do these things. But you're not opening yourself up to that, because that's vulnerable. And so when you can actually have these conversations and you can talk, like, don't get me wrong, this is why I have different breaks in my day, because me with my man, if I'm in this right now, and all of a sudden I'm like trying to also be the housewife and do whatever, it's like those two archetypes, I'm like, my brain is in CEO right now. Like, I am in my masculine, I am doing my job. But when it comes to our relationship, I get to be that part of myself that I love. It's like this childlike joy. It's this passionate. It's this part, and you get to like bounce between these. You get to be multifaceted. But the problem is we're coming at our relationship with the same energy we are in the boardroom.
Absolutely.
And then we're wondering why we have, emasculated men, and we're cutting them down, and we're not getting the love that we want. It's like, you're not actually presenting a space for them to do that. So it's really learning how to get crystal clear on your energetic capacities and how to vibrate between the two, because you don't have to, a lot of us, when we think like feminine energy or housewife or whatever, it's just like eating grapes and like taking naps and like, having orgasms all day. It's like, that's not what that is. It's you get to be this version of you, but you do it in a way that's in regulation to your hormones, because you are not a hairless man. You have a lot of hormones pumping through your body, and you fluctuate throughout a month more than a man will ever understand. And getting that into play, and then also being able to play with the dynamics of like, you get to also enjoy this. Like, you don't have to hustle to the top. You don't have to burn yourself out and lose all your friends and cut out relationships and be afraid of this stuff, because that's not the point of any of this. We are not meant to be in survival all the time. You can have everything you want. There's just a way of playing with your nervous system, playing with the somatics, playing with your energy, so that you can play between all fields.
Yeah, it's like there's a sense, there's always this sense of, achieving, doing, and all of this, it's a tension in the body, so there's no sense of relaxation. It's like, the woman is taking all of this very strong energy of the achiever into the bedroom or the kitchen, and it, of course, it is become a clashing, it's a competition, a continuous competition of who is the boss or who is better and whatever. It's like, no, guys, like if we allow ourselves to just, ground ourselves, like you said, embody this soft, very embracing energy of the woman. It's like that soft, almost like a shelter, because we carrying child, we embracing the life, and how we can play that in our home scene or anywhere, really, even in business. If we do that naturally, authentically, imagine how much nicer and flowing our business can be, right? So yeah, I was just looking through your website. It's amazing, it's beautiful, it's really clear. It is very it's just like the clear message is there, and I was amazed, like you have a lot of different offers
Mhm.
on your website, and so they all focusing on helping women to really tap into their that soft, vulnerable, feminine place, but at the same time the power of it is really is really like that exploration. I really would love to read about your products, and like, for example, the shattered one, the scared singlehood, the bondless bonita, the reclamation. There's many interesting programs that you run and master classes and things. And can you just tell and dive a little bit more deeper into a different offers that you have, and what really the outcome, and how women go through that process, and what changes for them, how they rebuilding themselves?
Yeah, I would love to. The thing about being a woman, the thing about understanding yourself is it is your greatest superpower. Like a lot of us, it's like, oh, if I become soft and vulnerable, I'm just going to be crying all the time and I'm going to be weak and I'm going to be taken advantage of, especially those, which are majority of my clients that have been through trauma and traumatic events, that they have been manipulated and they have been hurt and they have built up these walls for a reason, because they've been surviving. But the choice of a woman is to know, and one of my mentors explained it this way, is that you're like a volcano and you choose not to erupt. What a power that is.
Yeah.
You have so much of a force inside of you. And instead of, and the thing that we've been scared of is when we do erupt, because we don't have regulation tools, because we don't understand our triggers, because we don't understand the somatics of our bodies, because we don't actually know what's going on within us. We hurt people. We emotionally manipulate. We say things we don't mean. We're running our mouths. We're doing things, or we disassociate completely. We shut down. We isolate. We ghost. We do the things that we hurt people, and we know we do, when we don't have these controls. So my programs are based around that. How can you better understand yourself so that you can open yourself and welcome yourself home? So there's various master classes. You mentioned Sacred Singlehood. That is my signature group program, which is all around the woman that is, you've either gone through a breakup or you're having turbulation within your relationship and you realize that you've self-abandoned. And so this is the program where you come back into relational self-awareness and you start to understand yourself. It's not that you have to be, single. It's just you want to be and learn how to be independent and be by yourself, so that it's your superpower. And then when you are in interactions and with people, you learn how to do that from a place of a grounded. So we talk about feminine, masculine energetics. We talk about trauma. We talk about nutrition. We talk about the gut-brain connection. That was my background, like all the things about that. And then we have various programs that go from I don't know if I could swear on this, F codependency.
Yeah.
Like it's about, breaking your bonds to codependency so that you can actually go from what high achievers, they're like, oh, but codependency is just about addiction. It's not.
No.
High functioning codependency is when you want to control everything. You are exhausted because you don't trust other people. You constantly people please, you do these kind of things, and you don't actually know what your true authentic voice is. So that's what we're teaching you, is the high functioning codependency within there, so that you can start to regulate your body and get away from that. We have Boundless Bonita, which is about body image. So for anyone that's recovering from, body dysmorphia or body eating disorders or things like that, being in your body can feel like a foreign place.
Absolutely. It can be very lonely, scared. It can be
Exactly.
absolutely like a foreign. I mean, do I belong to this? Do I what? And it is also because of our environment. It is the construct, the social lenses that we taught at school and other institutions to look at the life from that lenses of the social construct, and that's really what is very harmful and very damaging for us, that we kind of don't really have any capacity to look outside of these lenses and see how we can actually have other possibilities. Can we consider different options and ways of looking at ourselves and at life, at other people, and I love what you offering, and I love how you work with women. And I'm really interested myself to really kind of look at some of the programs. Laura, it's a really really a gift to be able to get in touch with yourself. And that's what really is you doing. You helping women to get into that place of the power. So tell me a little bit more about what is your ideal client? Like you mentioned about high achievers, so this is your core clients, right?
Yeah, it's women that they're in that self-healing process. They're been high achieving and they're just exhausted. They want to reconnect to their body. They want to have relationships. Most of my clients, they've been burning the candle at both ends and they forgot about building a healthy relationship. Sometimes they're in relationship and they haven't been paying attention to it, or they've been single for a very long time and they can't seem to call in the types of relationships that they want. And they realize it has a lot to do with their embodiment and their trauma and the things that they've been protecting themselves from. And so they tap into that and they're ready for it. And it's, the way that I do it differently than most mentors in this space is I work with somatics. And so somatics is your body, right? Because we all can write the affirmations about the perfect relationship and all the stuff that we want. And then we get frustrated because it doesn't happen. And that's why. And we can go to cognitive therapy. We can go to talk therapy. We can do all these things. And they're great. There's no shame around that. But if you're anything like me, when I was like going through the 12 steps and I was doing the thing, I was like, I'm just more triggered every time I'm in this space now, because I'm just annoyed that my upbringing was this way and my body, like nothing's changing. Now I'm just like hyper aware of everything. So somatics, I bring you into your body, because trauma isn't necessarily, and this is a thing that gets people tripped up. They're like, oh, my trauma isn't as big. I haven't experienced loss. I haven't, been through war, whatever. Trauma is just your body's reaction to an event, right? 97% of who you are is a cellular makeup of every single thing you've ever experienced in your life. Like every personality trait that you have is just based on your environment and the things that you're told and all this stuff. And so when we have habits, beliefs, systems, patterns that we don't enjoy, we have to get into the body in order to release that. So I do that with my clients or through my programs, is I create safety in your body. And the only way to do that is to feel the things that we run away from our entire lives. So feeling things, and it doesn't have to be as messy as it sounds. Like, it could be going on a run, it could be dancing, it could be breathing, it could be like there are different ways of doing this depending on clients and what they want to. Because I know somatic work or shadow work, as everyone's like, it's woo-woo and it's scary. It's not. It's backed by science. It's a whole bunch of science. It
actually could be quite fun, right? So I know that.
Fun. It's like the way I got through one of my breakups, I was like, I just went dancing because my body needed to release, and sacred screaming and these different types of modalities that we can use so that you could actually release these triggers of your younger self that are getting in the way of your present self and what you want to achieve out of life. And so I work with people in that realm where it's like we really take this approach to help you truly heal. Like what I do with my clients, we heal. Like I've had like a few women say they've gone through and they're like, I've healed in 1 hour what I've been trying to in 10 years of therapy. And that's what
Sure.
happens when you get into your body.
Yeah. That's that's amazing, and we are now all in that reality where not having your personal inner process is actually a dangerous choice. We are all now in this space, and we need to step into that power. And I love how you approach this, and I love how you helping women with different, different approaches and things. Yes, I mean, there's so many different offers around, and I'm not saying they're good or bad or right and wrong, and because everyone come up with that method of the authentic path, that everyone have the help that they went through, and they try to share that process with other people. And the beauty of it is that we have range of choices, and everyone can choose whatever is resonating with them. And like for me, I have this big space here, and I work my clients are all exhausted, very highly successful entrepreneurs, men and women. And with men especially, they hold so much anger. There's a deep ancestral anger place in men where it needs to be released as well. And in my practice, we do it a little bit different physically as well. But I give them ox, and they go and they hit it, and they cut the tree and make a wood
Yeah.
for my heater. So
But that's just it. It's the body needs to express it in whatever way that
absolutely,
is. And sometimes we're so afraid of our rage or our sadness or our disappointment or whatever it is. And so when you can
yeah,
actually create the safe container in whatever capacity, this is on my podcast. I have 100, like I interview a whole bunch of people because there's so many different ways to do this. You just
yes,
have to feel comfortable enough to tap into that part of yourself, whether it's chopping wood, whether it's screaming in the front seat of your car, whether it's pole dancing, like who
that's
knows?
it.
But your
Yes,
body just needs to like release it. And
yes,
then all
yep.
of a sudden it comes out and you're like, wow, I've been holding that for decades.
That's it.
Now
Yes,
I feel that's all I needed to do. I needed to go chop wood. Like that was it. And
absolutely. And
it's
this man,
everything.
of course, for men to create something like that is really hard,
Yes.
because they are so in the stereotype of being
Oh, yeah.
masculine and strong, and they cannot really do any tearing or anything like that. And it is a really hard place to be. It is creates that hard pain, and to achieve that soft pain is really that released through the body. And of course they can scream, they can direct that chopping wood for to releasing the trauma and pain and anger, and they can do it hours and hours. And that's really, it's like, okay, it's done. So it's out of the body, that frozen conglomerate of the past traumas and all this anger that sits in this energy consciousness system, and really self-sabotaging in all of this limited creation that you have.
Exactly.
How painful it is. So
Exactly.
Laura, I'm really feel like there's a resonance what we're speaking, and this is a lot of passion. I can see it in you, how you just lighten up with all that that creation that you have, that movement that you have. And it's really inviting, and it's really, it's kind of let's participate. Yes, sure, let's participate. And I would like to have another a few questions, but also I would like to put on the where is it on the screen Patricia's website here, guys. Really recommend you go and check it out, because her products and programs here are really very focused on the need that you have, particularly for your customized traumatic events and things like it's just very amazing. So the details here, and Laura can lead you from there, but just take that first step. We can't sit anymore long. We cannot sit longer anymore, hoping that the life gonna be the same as it used to be, even 3 years ago, even 2 years ago. We're moving so fast. So now we need to take this first step. We need to have that intentional planning, intentional creation of our own life. And that just that first step with Laura, with our other people, just do it. And you will be amazed how quickly you're going to be healing yourself and stepping onto that path of creating the life you love. Laura, I would like to continue and ask you another a few
Sure.
questions. So, you've been battling a lot with different loss, with death of your mother and eating disorders and things. And so, in 2016, you started with a nutritional course, and that really was your starting point, right? It is eventuated, elaborated into a completely, I would say, like integrated, holistic approach, not only to the eating and a biological need of supporting your body. It is actually widening up, in your case, into the whole multidimensional nature of who we are. And how did you really, move to that direction?
Yeah, I mean, if I have to think about it, it happened probably 2 years ago because I had a wildly successful IBS anxiety company when I was living in Asia. I sold out, like, it was very successful, but it didn't feel like me. It was just something I was good
Mhm.
at. I'm a person, I love relationships. I went to school to be a sex therapist, and then I pivoted because I was like, my parents aren't going to approve of that. And so that became my minor, and then communications. Like, it's just always,
Mhm.
that's the thing, right? Like, the thing that is passionately on our heart, it will always come through. We can try to hide it, but it's going to come through. And so this kept weighing on my heart, but I was so afraid. I was so afraid because I was like, but the thing that I'm good at, I'm good at it. I have this business. How am I going to, how am I going to pivot it? Like, what's going to happen? And then I had a breakup about a year ago, and I was like, you know what? We know what life is like. Why are we waiting for anything? Like, we know how quick life can go. Look at what happened to our mom. Like, we see how things are. And so I just did something that had been pulling at my heart for so long. And I still use these practices because gut brain connection is very much linked
Mhm.
to trauma, and it's not spoken enough about. But I was talking about the same things just in different capacities. Like, I go back and I watch my old programs and my old lives, and I'm like, I'm saying the same things, just
Yeah.
a different way of saying it, because it was always, don't be afraid of food. It was always about
Mhm.
understanding your body. It was always about having healthy relationships with others, with self, with all these kind of things, just in different capacities. And I didn't yet have the knowledge of somatics and the trauma background that I have
Mhm.
now. But it really was just like life events and the synchronicities. And I was like, this thing that's clawing at my freaking soul, like, I can't hide it anymore. Like, I need
That's
to
it.
talk about, my business might slow, it might pivot, it might do whatever. But, if I'm going to die tomorrow, I need to be doing with the thing that is on my heart. Like, I get that I'm good at this, but, like, I
Mhm.
also know I'm good at
Mhm.
taking risks. I built this company. I
Mhm.
became this person. Like, I've done wild things in my life and moved to countries and, changed the impacts and the lives and the things that I've done. Why would this not be the same? And so I pivoted,
Mhm.
and it's been a great success ever since, because I just went with it. I was like, this is what my body is asking for me right now. And
Mhm.
again, this is also the thing about being a female. We are multidimensional human beings. Like, how I'm not meant to talk about one thing for the rest of my life, because I am forever changing, which means my coaching and my mentorship and my education is constantly evolving. So to better serve my clients, it was like, I'm going to go
Absolutely.
back to the dream that I had when I was 18 years old, about talking about sex and relationships and money and the things and life
Mhm.
and trauma and human, like the thing, the reason rock and roll, money, sex, power, like, this is the human. We've
Yes.
had it in us for so long. So it's just kind of birthed from taking radical ownership that I am the artist, the creator, the archetype of my life.
Mm,
And
yes.
so if I want
Yes.
anything to change, I have to take those scary leaps. And, there's always a plan. There's always a plan.
Yes. It so resonates with me because we all go through this different, transformation. Transformation is just forever. It's like every minute of our life. We
Yeah.
just make these choices, right? And it's always like it comes back to that vicious cycling around that same you know, same deep trauma of not being enough or not being loved unconditionally and all of these things. But it is possible to really become aware of all these things. The question is like, what is here now for me? Like, just constantly ask that question. And then eventually you will start to be on that space of really knowing, like you become an observer of yourself, and you constantly grounded and seeing what your reactions are. And then the more you catch your reaction without having exploded out, the better you will start to reprogram all of these beautiful divine cells and DNA, and wherever we have this multidimensional biology, psychology, the spirituality. It's all one integrated, beautiful system of light, where we are expressing ourselves through that light. And I can see that light in you. You just in that beautiful space of being a creator. And that's what really is every day a choice. What am I doing? Am I still sitting in that space of, am I good enough? And or you moving and shifting into that space of, I'm creator. What am I creating now? Right. So, Laura, I'm really, really happy about our conversation. It's really buzzing, and I really feel excited. I believe that our connection will eventuate on some other things. I invite you to Australia. I invite you to my space to run something here for Australian women. It's amazing what we can do with all the development of technology now. But the physical presence and connection is, of course, the best. But anyway, even through technology, we feel the energy. I feel you so much.
Same.
And yes, I would like to possibly, we kind of getting closer to concluding our talk. And I would like to ask you, just give us about 3 points or 3 little tips that women that are exhausted, that women that are not having relationship. I mean, relationship, as I said, it's an area where if we don't have a successful or fulfilled intimate relationship, then we don't have good relationship with anyone
Yeah.
either, with bosses, with colleagues, with children. It's all one and the same. So it all started with that inner space. And I would like you to give us 3 little tips that women can actually start to really relate to themselves, how they living, what they're doing, and how they can start to, take that first step.
Okay. So the acronym I walk my clients through is SHE, so SHE. And so the first one would be self-knowledge. Become aware of what your symptom is. Like, what is the thing that is happening in your life that you want to change? What is that habit, that belief, that cycle, that thing that we all are like, I wish you weren't here. Like, what is that for you? Identify whatever that is. And then get into the healing phase of why is that coming into your life? Like, what's going on there? Is it, a part of you feels unlovable? Is it a part of you that feels exhausted or rejected or afraid of not being enough? Just feeling what that is without giving it a context of like, well, if I feel this, the whole world's going to end and I'm going to not be in my power anymore. And it's going to make me, it's like, no, just look at it so it stops running your life so that you can heal it and then become the embodiment of it where you feel where that is in your body. And this is an art form where it's like, if I can feel, my fear of not belonging, where do I feel that? Ooh, my chest.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So when I feel something with my partner and I feel these rejection wounds from like my childhood and when I didn't get asked to the 8th grade dance or whatever the heck it is, it's like, ooh, okay, I feel that in my chest. And so if you can identify in your body where it's at, you can stop reacting to it in your life. And so you can start to catch these things so you stop having the symptom. And so the cycle's back in where it's like, okay, Now I'm aware what the symptom is, and now I know how it feels in my body. Ding, okay, now I can start to shift this because now I can feel it in my body so I don't react. And it's the same thing as like, you know, you have your stimulus and then you have your response. You have that little sacred moment in the middle where it's like you get to choose. It's like really work within that space so that you can find your way home, so you can heal your relationship, so you can stop reacting. And those are the 3 areas that I would say to look at.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is really powerful conversation, really powerful woman, and she can really help you. So to break that cycle, the cycle of self-perpetuating, trauma and self-sabotaging. So I really recommend you guys go and check it out, Laura's website, and you will find your place there. So thank you so much for being here with us, Laura. Thank you so much. And I would like to put our outro, and we just rocked it up. So, and I see you guys next Wednesday at 2 p.m. South Australian time zone, possibly solo, or maybe I have another amazing guest. So stay tuned up and sign up into my YouTube channel. It's really very low numbers, but I really present on Facebook, a few groups and a few pages and LinkedIn. So guys, support us, please. We are trying to help you to become a powerful divine creators of your life that you love to live. And you can then have absolutely amazing, fulfilled, honest, deep relationships. Thank you so much.